So today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be back with a long-term investments video. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the 5 best long-term investments to make in 2024 for the long term. And without further ado, we're going to hop right into the video. So the first player that we have on our list is going to be Vince Carter. I know there may be a lot of people questioning why Vince Carter is a good investment right now. And first and foremost, he is going to be highlighting the 2024 Hall of Fame NBA class. He's pretty much the only guy on the list that you can truly say is a sure ballot Hall of Famer in 2024. And I believe Vince Carter, being one of the faces of Toronto, one of the best dunkers, of course, just an overall incredible career and fan favorite, and he has a lot of that kind of nostalgia around him. There was an era and a lot of diehard NBA fans that will rock with Vince Carter for a long time. And I think there's always going to be that built-in demand over him being a fan favorite. And on top of that, becoming a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2024. And just the overall, attention that's going to be around him after making the Hall of Fame, I think is going to propel his cards forward. Another thing I really like about Vince is that he is staying very, very relevant. He's oftentimes on TV, he's doing broadcasting, he's doing all types of different things. You can catch him on ESPN sometimes just talking. So I think there's just a lot of, kind of relevance that's going to stay around Vince Carter and a lot of nostalgia that's going to be around his card market in the long term. And his prices are so low that I think in the long term, this is the card that's really going to pan out and, go up in value quite a lot. I really like his Topps Chrome and his Topps Chrome Refractors. I think they're at good price points to where you could see a big run up in prices, not only, in the short term with the Hall of Fame, but also in the long term for the reasons I mentioned. So without further ado, we're going to hop right into the next pick, and I know I've talked about Steph Curry a lot, but there is a specific reason why I believe now is a very good time to enter into his card market. With Steph Curry's market in general, we can go to one of his main cards, for example, his Topps Chrome from 2009. You can see that his cards have an incredibly low population. For example, his Topps Chrome PSA 10 is only a pop 61, and these cards have been following a very, very, familiar cycle, which is pretty much, when the Warriors have been good, you've seen his prices really start to go up. And right now, we're starting to see a little bit of a sell-off in his market due to the fact that the Warriors haven't started the season as a lot of people have hoped they would. They currently, I believe, as I'm recording this video, are 10th in the West. And his prices, since the beginning of the offseason, his Topps Chromes have dropped close to 30%. And as you guys know, I'm a huge believer in Steph Curry in the long term. He's totally changed the game. It's going to be looked at as an all-time great. In my opinion, one of the 2 active players that really has a chance to become a top 5 player of all time when it's all said and done. So I just think his card prices are currently at a very good spot where I'm like, I could see a lot of run up in his prices in the long term, given a very low population, super collectible player. Everyone loves Steph, just an overall global superstar. If you go to Asia, this is another main reason why I believe Steph is a great investment for the long term. Is in Asia, there are a lot of people who collect Steph. He is, in fact, the most transacted player in the Asia market. And in this year, at the end of this year, in around a month, we're getting the first ASCC, which is the Asia Sports Collectors Convention, which is pretty much going to be the biggest show, but of Asia. And so Steph Curry's cards, I believe, are going to be in super, super hot demand leading up to it. And, as more and more of Asia becomes, familiar with the sports card market, Steph Curry is going to be one of their main investment. He is more popular than LeBron, than even MJ in terms of transactions in his cards in the Asia market. So I think there's a lot of upside with the Asia market getting introduced to sports cards and Steph Curry's market. So I think there's a lot of good opportunities in his autograph market and in his rookie card market. But without further ado, we're going to hop right into the next pick, and that is going to be another guy that I've talked a lot about, but for specific reasons. The Bucks have come out to a pretty slow start, and that is obviously, understandable given, they just added Damian Lillard. They're trying to mesh things together. They have not started out, perfect, and that makes sense, but I think that's causing a big sell-off in, Giannis's market that I believe is a little bit unjustified. I think it was kind of expected that the Bucks were not going to start out, 6-0 with Damian Lillard just coming on, and them just trying to work things out. But I think in the long term, Giannis is going to be a guy who wins more MVPs, who wins more championships, and is a guy who's going to come down as one of the best European players of all time. In fact, potentially one of the best overall NBA players of all time when it's all said and done. If you look at his career trajectory, already winning a Finals MVP, already winning 2 MVPs, and he still hasn't fully reached his prime, in my opinion. I think he's still got some improvements to go in terms of his shot, and I think once he's knocked that down, he can be winning multiple championships, when this whole era kind of retires, when the LeBrons, the Stephs retire. I think you could see Giannis be that next guy who's contending to win a championship every single year. And so I think his card prices are at a very good spot. And also, they are incredibly low population for most of his cards. If you look at, for example, his Blue Prism from 2013, one of my personal favorite cards of his, look at the population report on these. It's a pop 35 overall in a BGS 9.5, pop 21 in a PSA 10, pop 22 in a PSA 9. So they're very scarce. And I think Giannis being the face of the league, having a big decline in his card market right now, I think it's always a great opportunity to buy the dips for Giannis, because he's in the long term going to be one of those guys that I think is going to be the face of the league. Now, without further ado, we're going to hop right into a next pick that a lot of people are going to be calling obvious. I know that, but I have specific reasons for wanting to buy MJ now as opposed to other times where I've held off on MJ's market. And that is simply because I believe we're entering a kind of new generation of basketball, where in a couple of years we're going to see a whole new generation. The LeBron generation is kind of going to be done with, and we're going to be seeing a new generation. And LeBron's going to, once he retires, I think MJ is going to be looked at as a kind of different generation of basketball. If you look at, LeBron right now being a current player, I believe there's going to be a next level of nostalgia around Michael Jordan's market in general. We've seen that with a lot of other players. For example, Wilt Chamberlain. When he goes from a retired player and an all-time great to a total nostalgia guy. And I think that's going to be kind of what happens with MJ. He's going to be a different level of icon as time passes. And he's going to be kind of like a different level of history in terms of the history of basketball. And I think that's going to really help the nostalgia of his card prices. Cards are definitely correlated a lot. The prices are correlated a lot to nostalgia and overall, iconic, feel towards a player. And I think MJ's heading to a next level when it comes to this generation passing, and now MJ being 2 generations ago, kind of just being this all-time icon that maybe a lot of people who are currently investing in cards didn't get to watch, but here's so many stories about, and just like, a totally different level of icon in terms of sports cards. And I think that's where MJ's headed. I could have probably explained that better, but I hope you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from, where I think MJ being 2 generations ago is going to take his card prices to the next level. But without further ado, we're going to hop right into another pick that a lot of people may call totally, obvious. But of course, LeBron. I think our generation, guys like me who grew up watching LeBron, we're going to reach a level where we have the money to spend. I think when my generation reaches 30, 40 years old and we make that money and we have the money to be spent, a lot of our generation will be investing in guys like LeBron, as opposed to, guys we grew up watching, as opposed to maybe MJ. I think our generation is going to be investing in LeBron when we have money. And that may be 10, 20 years from now when people work, when my generation kind of gets to the level of, being able to really spend that, higher amount higher dollar value for a lot of his cards, and I think that's going to cause a lot of money to enter into LeBron's market. And on top of that, you just can't beat his longevity, and just going down as a top 2 player of all time. When a player retires is when people really, understand his long-term relevance. I know right now we're kind of in a time where, like, the Lakers are probably maybe not going to win another championship in LeBron's career, and so there's a lot of short-term investors in LeBron's market. So a lot of people selling his cards right now have short-term points of views, but once he retires, a lot of the people who are going to be buying his cards are going to be long-term investors, because they're not going to be short-term investors if he's already retired. And so that is going to cause a different level of, it's just demand in his card prices. I think supply is going to dry up when he retires, because, more as cards get into the hands of people who want to invest in his cards long term, that's when you start to see supply dry up. And as long as demand stays the same, we can see his prices rise over time. So I think now is a great opportunity to buy in when a lot of people have more of a short-term point of view. A lot of people are selling because he may not win a championship this season, but not taking into, long-term consideration where his prices could go. So I think overall his cards are in a great spot. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.